although there's a lot of destruction right now, although there's a lot of certainty, I know that we are going to emerge out of this with so much more alignment.
Hi, I'm Maria, otherwise known as the Fit Foodie. I'm a chef, holistic nutritionist, author, inventor, and mom. And I want to welcome you to my podcast. It's called Recipes for Your Best Life. And with every episode, I'm peeling back the onion on fitness, nutrition, health, wellness, and family. The truth is, you're the chef of your life. And for every important pillar, there's a great recipe worth sharing. So every week, we'll explore them together. Think of it as food for thought that you can really sink your teeth into. So join me, and let's squeeze the joy out of this life, because you only get one. Can I get a fork, yeah? Do you hear that? That's the sound of me breathing to a certain rhythm. And that rhythm is supposed to help me feel more relaxed, more able to kind of handle the stresses of the day. And there's a lot of potency to your breath. We often don't stop to think about how powerful it is. It's what keeps us alive. But not everybody is super in tune with that. Enter Samantha Skelly. She founded Hungry for Happiness, a movement that helps people experience true transformation and happiness through energetic coaching techniques and pause breath work, a type of breath work, which has become a mission of hers to help people unite and feel better and thrive. I love that word, by the way. I use that often. Samantha has revolutionized the weight loss and self-help industries through looking at the underlying causes of food, body, and self-love issues, and uses breath work as a vehicle to be able to uncover that. She shared her mission on an international platform. She's a best-selling author. She's been seen in the Huffington Post, on the BBC, NBC, and she continues to spread her message and transform the lives of tens of thousands of people through her programs, international retreats, motivational speaking engagements, and her podcast, Hungry for Happiness. She also has a best-selling book called Hungry for Happiness. I can't wait for you guys to hear what we dished about and help to unravel and reveal what can be the root cause of people's, let's just say, unrest, and how breathing and exploring self-love can unveil that. Let's listen. Samantha, it's so nice to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to have a conversation.
I know, because I think we come from a very similar school of thought. And I want to understand what brought you to this place where you really are looking to dive into the whys behind the choices people make with regards to what they put in their mouth.
Yeah, it's been such an interesting ride for me. I grew up as a dancer and as a child actress. So my entire life I was either on a stage or in front of the camera. And so that's been my upbringing. And when I was 18 years old, I started experimenting with dieting and restriction, and I developed a lot of body image issues that I can sort of relate back to just all of the rejection in growing up in the performance film and television. a lot of rejection, a lot of you need to be like this, a lot of you need to be skinnier, that type of thing. And so 18 years old, I started dieting. The first diet I ever went on was the cabbage soup diet. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I just remember buying just like crap loads of cabbage and just eating cabbage until I was blue in the face. And I actually ended up in the hospital months later because I was not getting the nourishment that my body needed to thrive and survive. And so those days, it was 4 years of being on over 50 diets in less than 4 years, and just having no idea how to eat like a normal person, having no idea how to use food for health and hunger, how to treat my body with love. I didn't trust myself. Every single day was a new obsession with a new diet and all sorts of things. And so I got to this place in my life where I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to be like this for life. This is just something that I have to struggle with my whole life. And ironically, at the same time, I was a personal trainer, so I was a health coach, and so I was trying to help people with their health. Well, meanwhile, I was a hot mess express in the scene. So I needed to completely stop being a personal trainer and just understand what I was actually hungry for and understand why I was stuck in this diet binge cycle. And so I began to try a lot of things. Like I read all the books, I listened to all the podcasts. I was trying to sort of think my way out of emotional eating, and nothing was working. And one of my mentors said, Sam, you just have to, it's like an inside out job. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Just tell me what to do and I'll just do the thing. And it wasn't until I learned that I needed to really get into my body. I needed to feel through my emotions, and that would set me free. And that was a scary journey, coming back and feeling into my body. Like the thought of feeling was like really scary for me at the time. I didn't think that I was worried. I'm like, what am I going to find? Like, what's going to happen if I actually feel? And, yeah, it was just a really terrifying experience for me. But the more that I increased my capacity to feel my emotions and the more that I trusted myself, I slowly began to heal to the point where I could use food for health and hunger again. I could feel into my body. I could tell the difference between, an emotional and a physical hunger cue. And food no longer became that, that heavy overarching black cloud over my head. It became something that I really enjoyed interacting with. So
and that happens a lot. I mean, that happens, 80 to 90% of the eating disorders are because of a trauma. So it comes from a place of kind of unburying something, and it doesn't have to be one specific incident. It can be a variety of things. Did you feel that just growing up in the spotlight, having a camera on you, there was an ideal that you had to live up to? Or as you were kind of uncovering the root of, the pain or the hurt that you were trying to cover, that you found something else?
I think it was both. I think it was both. I think the sort of obvious thing was the just feeling of having to be a certain weight and having to be, have certain measurements. And then as I began to unpack it and kind of move through that, I realized there was just some deeper wounds and some deeper traumas that I needed to heal. Like so much of my childhood was I received love for the things that I did, my talents. And so as an adult, I internalized that as I'm not lovable unless I perform, I work hard, I do more. And so my whole life has been achievement-driven love. And that's the story that I created. So there was a lot of other things that popped up as a result of kind of doing the inner work.
Achievement-driven love, boy, that is, I bet you a lot of people out there listening could relate to that, because and I'm a parent and I really do everything that I can to treat my kids, consistently and the same. But I mean, I think it's human. I think it's human that we applaud good things. And when things are bad, we make people feel bad. What did you come away from this kind of deep dive into your background and yourself that has now changed how you live?
Such a great question. So when I first started my company 10 years ago, I started it kind of from a place of fear and wanting to prove myself. It's like, well, if I can just build a 7-figure company by the time I'm 25, then I'll be loved. Then I'll be accepted. And the energy behind everything I did was this lacking fear-based energy of doing something to get something, versus doing something because it is the essence of who I am and the beingness of who I am, and allowing that to be the motivation and that to be the momentum. And so one of the biggest things that I learned is when I am driven from a place of fear or when I'm driven from a place of love and abundance and just being myself and just wanting to create impact and support people, it's so much it's so powerful, and I enjoy the journey. When I'm operating from a place of fear, trying to be someone or prove something or get love from someone, the journey of getting there feels chaotic and heavy, and you never really, quote unquote, get there. There's no satisfaction, there's no fulfillment in doing things that way. And when I relating this back to my body, I always shamed my way into being a certain size because I thought if I get there, then I will be loved, then I will be accepted. Then, I constantly played the when then game. So the biggest lesson that I've learned through this is, how can we have full acceptance of where we're at and take action from a place of love and abundance so that we can just receive more of that energy versus the fear and negativity?
Why do you think that people come from a place of lack? And I know that's kind of a loaded question, but I say this also as a female entrepreneur. And one of the things that I've done in my business for the last 10 years since I started my business too, is I really try and plug in with other other entrepreneurs in general, doesn't have to be female, and see how we can lift each other up. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes people think, oh, that's your competitor. And I don't see it that way. I don't see it as a competitor. I see it as we all have something to bring to the table. Mm-hmm. Where do you feel like maybe in your, I didn't grow up being, in that kind of limelight, but why do you feel like there is so much of that is produced in the world of entertainment, that fear that there's not enough to go around?
I think it's nature and nurture. We were dealing with brains that are 2 million years old, that are rooted in scarcity and constantly telling us that, we're in fear and we're in danger and we're not safe and we need to look out. So when we have that built-in filter and we're looking out into the world, we're going to view it under that lens, and that's sort of the default. And so that, in conjunction with looking at the world and seeing a lot of fear and scarcity and separation and black and whiteness and lack of collaboration and connection, we kind of begin to create these stories in our mind that is just reality, that's real, that's truth. And it's just not. That is conditioning. That is conditioning over and over and over again, decades of conditioning. If you look back, we are designed to collaborate, to connect, abundance, shared economy. We are designed to live in that way, but we've just been conditioned out of that, so far away from our nature. But when we step back into that felt sense of abundance and safety and collaboration and lifting each other up, as you mentioned, we realize that there's a feeling there, there's a sensation there that feels familiar. We remember that is actually our natural state, despite the fact that we have brains that tell us we're going to die. When we get into our bodies and get into our hearts, there's a different narrative there. But what so many of us are doing is living life from fear, from our minds, constantly looking for how to keep ourselves safe, how to not die. And sometimes the byproduct of that is separating from other people. And that's so against our nature. So I love everything you just said. It's so spot on. And I feel that we are now almost being forced into the opposite of our nature, right? So we're in this new kind of crisis that is unprecedented. Nobody knows when it's really going to end. Nobody really knows what the repercussions are going to be. How do you see this impacting people in finding some sense of balance and new normal when maybe they were out of balance to begin with, and this is just shaking them to the core?
Have you ever wondered, is rinsing my produce with the water that comes out of the sink that I don't even drink enough to really clean it? Well, then you're one of the smartest people I know, because you're absolutely right. It's not enough. That's why we created the only all-natural and patented line of food wash and wipes, and it's called Eat Cleaner. It's tasteless, odorless, and lab tested, and it removes up to 99.9% of the residue that water can't, including pesticides, wax, soil, and junk that can carry bacteria that can really make you sick. Plus, we formulated it to help extend the shelf life of your fresh produce too, and that'll save you money. When your berries are lasting up to 10, 12 days, you know that's a good thing. It helps your produce last up to 5 times longer using a natural blend of fruit acids and antioxidants. So there's no chemicals. It's just clean eating fun. And this can help save your family